Ever stop to think about what actually makes your digital world go round? Every single call you make, every video you stream, it all depends on this huge, complex web of technology. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Enea, a company whose technology literally impacts billions of people, and yet most of us have never even heard their name.
Let's just kick things off with a number that's kind of hard to even process. 3 billion, with a B. That's how many people, almost half the planet, rely on Enea's technologies every single day. And here's the kicker. They have no idea.
So how in the world do they reach that many people? Well, they're the engine under the hood for the companies that connect us all. Enea's software is the secret sauce, the backbone for more than 170 telecom operators all over the globe. And we're not just talking about one or two regions here. Nope. Their software is running in the networks of over 100 countries, which makes them a truly global and yet almost completely invisible powerhouse.
Which brings us to the big question, right? How can one company be so essential to our connected lives but stay so completely off the radar? Well, let's find out.
All right, it's time to dive in and really get to know this quiet but unbelievably powerful tech company.
Now, you're probably thinking this is some Silicon Valley startup from the dot-com boom, but you'd be way off. I mean, way off. Their story actually starts all the way back in 1968 in Sweden with a mission that had absolutely nothing to do with the internet as we know it today. Their journey is just wild. It all kicks off in 1968, founded as a defense contractor to build an operating system for Swedish fighter jets. Then, get this, in 1983, one of their employees registers Enea as a domain name, and it ends up being the very first domain name in all of Sweden. They were accidental internet pioneers. Just 2 years after that, they released OSE, their own specialized operating system, and that really became the foundation for the global giant they are today. So what in the world is a real-time operating system, or an RTOS? Just think of it as an OS for any mission where failure is simply not an option. It has to respond to things within a super strict, predictable time frame. This is the core DNA that Enea was built on, absolute reliability and precision. Okay, so Enea has this deep, deep expertise in building these ultra-reliable, bulletproof systems. So what do you do with that kind of knowledge? You aim it squarely at the next great challenge, the absolute explosion of the internet and mobile communications. When you put it all side by side like this, the transformation is just staggering. I mean, they went from building embedded systems for a few Swedish fighter jets to developing cloud-native software that protects the communication infrastructure for pretty much the whole world. And that brings us to today. What does all this actually mean for you? Let's break down how Enea software is working behind the scenes right now, powering and protecting the networks that we all use every single day. These days, their work really boils down to 3 critical jobs. First, they optimize our experience, making sure your videos don't buffer and your websites just load. Second, they secure the network itself. They're like a digital shield with firewalls that block threats in real time. And third, they manage the network's core data. Everything from making sure you are who you say you are to handling the subscription data for millions and millions of people. And who depends on this tech? Well, it's basically the pillars of our digital society. We're talking about the mobile operators that connect our phones, government agencies, satellite companies beaming data down from space, and of course the internet providers that bring the web into our homes. These are the organizations that absolutely cannot afford to fail. And you can really see that trust in what their partners say about them. This quote here really nails it. It talks about how they were picked specifically for their security platform, helping an operator build a network with a zero-trust strategy. In a world full of constant attacks, that's why the big players turn to Enea. They build networks that are secure by default. So where does an invisible giant even go from here? As you'd expect, they're already way ahead of the curve, focusing on building the software that's going to power the next wave of communication technology. Their focus is all about solving the next big challenges. Questions like, how do we unlock the real potential of 5G? How do we seamlessly blend satellite networks with ground networks to get coverage anywhere on Earth? And maybe most importantly, as more computing happens at the edge of the network, how do we keep it all secure? These are the puzzles Enea is working on right now. And, this all really comes together in their company tagline. Don't be surprised, be ready. It perfectly captures what they're all about. In a world of constant change and unpredictable threats, Enea's whole mission is to make sure the networks we all rely on are always ready for whatever's coming next. So the next time you send a text or watch a video, you can think of Enea working silently in the background. And it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to ponder. As our lives become more and more digital, what other invisible giants are out there, quietly keeping the entire system running?